I'm busy. Right, let's get into the rest of the Raw review. Near the end of the Raw review, then we'll get into the news. But first, just a little bit of news is the cheap seats for WrestleMania. Like the cheapest motherfucking seats way back in the bleachy bleachers. They were worth, they were selling them WWE, for $1,500, which is about fucking £1,200 in British currency. That's how they're seeing the cheapest tickets. And them seats you can hardly see fuck all. It's like being at a football match way, way up there. You can always hardly see, what's going on. You can see because all the fucking fans' heads are in front of you. So the fucking crap seats. You're better off just staying at home watching it on telly, to be honest. But the thing is, they've been put down to $200 because no one will buy them. Which I'm not surprised, motherfucker, because the build up to this WrestleMania has been diarrheic. Diarrheic. That's a new word of mine that I've just made up. Yes. That is what wrestling has been at the moment. The build up to this WrestleMania has been diarrheic. Yeah. Other news. Vince Russo believes that Triple H will be gone in 12 months because of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being on the board and having more of a powerful position in TKO. Why? I don't get Russo. Why would Triple H leave? Why would The Rock want Triple H out? I mean, they work together basically every fucking night when back in the Attitude Era. I mean, I've heard people say there was a professional fucking rivalry. Yeah, just get that word before rivalry, professional. Doesn't mean that they didn't like each other. Does it? Just because they had a little bit of a professional rivalry because they were neck and neck. Because they were, throughout their careers, The Rock and Triple H were neck and neck. But The Rock's got no fucking problem with Triple H. And The Rock won't do that shit, man. I bet you The Rock is hardly ever fucking at TKO, man. You've seen the things that The Rock's doing. Don't he do the fucking 7 Bucks Productions and movies and the XFL? And he's fucking busy, man. He's doing, he's probably, hardly ever doing this wrestling thing. He's probably got that Brian Gewirtz reporting to him. So I don't think there's any problem between The Rock and Triple H. I just think that's just he say, she say bullshit. I think, Russo, you better quit talking that shit. Oh, you're gonna be living with a motherfucking fat lip. Yeah. So Russo, again, is very negative on everything. I agree with a lot of what Vince Russo says to a degree, but I agree more with Cornette. And if Cornette was fighting Russo, yes, I would want Cornette to bash his Yankee fucking guinea brain in with a fucking tennis racket. That's not racist, because at the end of the day, it isn't, because you can't be racist when it's another, anyway, fuck. It's not racist, I just said guinea because of fucking, it's just talk, innit? You know what I mean? It's like, to be honest, I've got to be honest with you, man. With the black mates that I've had, we joke around, and, I've called them, not out of malice, just joking around, the N-word, you know what I mean? Like, just fucking around. Or say I'm doing a rap, I might slip it out because it's in the rap so much. It's when you say it with malice, that's when it's racist. When you say it and it's in an angry, malitic way. Just like anything. Like you call some sort, like you say, oh, fuck your mum. You know what I mean? But usually, with your mates, you're just joking, aren't you, when you say, yeah, go fuck your mum. Yeah, your mum's a fucking slag. She's a $2 fucking alley cat. You know what I mean? It's when you say that to your mate. I mean, I've said it, mate said it to me. It's just fucking like, oh yeah, whatever. It's when you say it with malice. Like, there's one guy said it to me with malice. It was actually a good friend of mine because he really didn't like my mum for some reason because of something. And he said it with malice. We were just sat there fucking smoking and all that. But he said, your mum is proper bitch. Like, your mum is a proper fuck bitch, man. Why would she do that and all that? And I'm like, right, mate, you're getting a bit serious now, man. And the whole fucking mood changed, and then, before we know it, was fucking, I had him on his fucking ground like I should have done, a cunt. So yeah, it's when you say it with malice, but I don't agree with using, especially, you know, any racial slurs, especially when it comes to, you know, because I've never liked the race card. There's never been a racist bone in my motherfucking body, I'll tell you that for now. Because I've been discriminated against my whole fucking life. So I know what it's fucking like. You know. You know what I mean, though? That's all I'm saying is I know what it's like to be discriminated against. So you can fuck off if anyone thinks I'm a racist. Because suck my fucking dick. Because I'm a motherfucker. Because I ain't. Anyway, sorry for going on. Anyway, next... We'll go on a Raw a bit more, and then we'll get onto the Triple H thing. Gunther and Jey Uso, yeah, cut separate promos the week before WrestleMania. Yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous. I mean, you know, I don't know why. They cut separate promos, and Michael Cole's interviewing Gunther in the middle of the ring, and Jey doesn't come out, or Jimmy doesn't come out, or nothing happens. Like, Gunther got a good promo, pretty good promo, but there should have been, it's not Gunther, it's nothing to do with Gunther. Uso should have came out, either Jimmy or Jay, or one of the Samoans come out and fucking, you know. They should have listened to me and done that storyline, that's all I can say about that. But as they're not, we'll see if they've listened to this podcast after Mania, they'll go ahead. Well, that means that, Uso needs to win by fluke for that to happen. Anyway, Gunther during his promo says, I am the greatest gift to this company has started the moment. Heisen. And Gunther says, 80% of the time he has been in the wrestling organization, he has been champion. Which is true, actually, yeah. It is true, because you fucking... weren't he the longest Intercontinental Champion since the Honky Tonk Man? Believe me, Gunther made that Intercontinental Championship mean something. And that IC title really didn't mean anything since 97, really, if you want me to be honest. I mean, Gunther made it mean something. Like when fucking Honky Tonk Man had it, when the Macho Man had it, when, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had it, when Brett had it, when Mr. Perfect had it. You know, that type of shit. But Gunther, has got some fucking pissed off look on his face, man. I wouldn't like to get on Gunther's bad side. Because as soon as he put that face on, I'm like, yeah. That is Gunther. You can tell he's a fucking savage if you piss him off. I mean, Gunther's one of them people, the old school type, which I love. Like, I'm not saying go back to the fucking old school where, just a belly-to-belly suplex or a roll-up or a DDT, then the match is over, and you're locking up the whole match and doing submissions like the whole match, like trying to make it look as real as possible. No, but I'm just saying make it look a little bit real. Have the entertainment, but focus on the work of wrestling, not like AEW do, which is fucking video game retarded fucking overkill. No, like you fucking used to see in fucking, Mid-South and Memphis and all them fucking territories. Even in, the WCW and the WWF, in the Attitude Era, the matches, you get behind the character, when Austin versus Triple H, I always go back to this, like you wanted Austin to kick the living fuck out of Triple H. When Triple H got the upper hand on Austin, It was like, fuck, Austin, come back. Same with The Rock. Same with Foley. You know? Yeah, so he's saying, Gunther's saying that he's never ever lost control of himself, which, if that's a very, very big achievement, that is a bigger achievement than winning any championship. Bigger achievement than fucking the baddest bitch on the planet is to never lose control of yourself. I mean, I've never heard of anyone that's never lost control of themselves. Because I'm just going off me. I kind of lose control very easy. Well, I used to. Not as easy as I did. But I still lose control of myself. But anyway, yeah. Even when he was drinking Jimmy's blood, licking it and drinking it and preserving it in a little container so he could put it in the freezer to freeze it and masturbate over it and do a Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh! Yeah. Yeah, or he did one serial killer. He might have done it to get his blood. People drink blood because actually they do believe that they're dying. So it's actually an illness. I've heard about this. This serial killer did it, but actually people around the world do this. You know, not cannibals because they like eating human meat, right? They drink blood and eat human meat because they believe that the soul's been corrupted or that they've got a serious illness where they're dying, so they need to drink human blood or eat some part of a human to save them or to cure an illness. It's real. It does happen. So, you know, I don't know why I went to that. But anyway, that was Raw. Now we're going to go, which I rated 4.2 because it fucking sucked Camo's cock. Right, we're going now to the Triple H interview. I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched most of it. There's 2 interviews he's done. He did one with High Performance and he did one with Flagrant. I'm halfway through each, basically. So I can say what I think Triple H means and what he said on both podcasts. So the first thing that Triple H says, which I totally agree with, is Triple H says during the podcast, Triple H thinks being open-minded and listening to others makes better creative. Yeah, being open-minded, dude, in my opinion. Listening to others, it depends who the other people are, whether they're trying to trick you or if they've got an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda, you know. It depends, you know, if the way, you know, Tony Khan's a bad example of listening to others. If you do it in Tony Khan, because now you're a fucking rollover. Now you're letting the inmates run the asylum. If you listen to others, but you're grounded and have a firm stance on everything, and you know when it's bullshit, then yeah. Because obviously you need to listen to people. You can't know it all. You need to listen to people and humble yourself to that. Yeah, I get that. It's just that you don't want to do it in a kind of passive way where people can roll over you, kind of thing. Which I don't think Triple H does. You know, Triple H is a game. Cerebral assassin, the guy who orchestrated the hit on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and retired Mick Foley, and necrophilia, did necrophilia on some woman up in whatever deranged shit that Cade ever did. So you gotta understand that this guy is a sick, evil bastard. The game. He's just got older now, that's all. He just contains it now. Anyway, Triple H says that it's not straightforward when it comes to booking a show. So he's saying basically that all these internet bookers, and I'm guilty of this because I did the Uso fucking Gunther Island, fucking Civil War, whatever, storyline with the Nazis fighting the Samoans. I don't think. I don't know what people think about that. I mean, sensitive people will really fucking go crazy over that shit, wouldn't they? I mean, if I really did come up with a storyline like that, I think I'll probably be sued these days. Probably get sued the fuck out of me. Anyway, but yeah, he's saying it's not straightforward when it comes to booking. It's like all these internet armchair bookers are like saying, oh, they'll do this and do that. But the reality of it is that there's TV sponsorships, TV stations, the trust that you have to have between the TV streamings like the Netflix, the fucking USA Network, Fox Network, any channels over in other countries, all these networks, you have to please them. That's the point, innit? It is that you have to, you have to go through them, I think, as well, you know, and you gotta be careful because especially these days with this whole fucking woke shit that's hopefully over in the world. You got to be very careful of what you're saying, what you're doing. It makes it very hard. It happens in Hollywood all the time. I cannot watch a movie these days because it's full of fucking propaganda. It's full of propaganda. Either if it's right wing or left wing, it's still full of propaganda. And it's bullshit. You should make a movie to entertain fuckers. If you don't like it, if it offends little you and your frail fucking ego, then don't fucking watch. And maybe you need to look at yourself and fucking think, yes, there are scumbags out there that say fucked up shit and people out there that do fucked up shit, kind of like Andrew Tate, who I can't fucking stand, but I don't waste my time thinking about him, or going on the internet complaining about him. I just think, yeah, he's a dickhead. I know, okay, fuck off. Get out of my fucking head. It's when you give these people power, that's when they'll fuck you. Anyway. So yeah, he's saying that there's, and yeah, he's basically hinting, basically what I've not, think's been going on for quite a while, especially dealing with the talent. Now, I think Triple H might be going a bit towards the Tony Khan spectrum instead of the Vince McMahon spectrum of dealing with the talent, as Vince was very harsh with the talent that liked to, well, especially in his last years, like to micromanage him. Back in the day, he was just whoever was the best talent, he would give you the ball and you let you run with it, basically. But he was still, Vince was always strict. He was the boss. Everyone knew Vince was the boss. What he fucking said goes. As with Triple H, he's more talent friendly. He's more, he's a nicer guy, basically. That can be a blessing and a curse. But it can be a big curse, obviously, in the world of wrestling. To be honest, if you try and be a people pleaser too much. So that's what I think, Triple H, I think, is a very nice person. He comes off as being very genuine. But like Tony Khan, same thing with Tony Khan. It's just that sometimes in a business like wrestling, you've got to be firm, which I do think Triple H is. But I think sometimes he's going more to the Tony Khan spectrum, the way the way his relationships are with the talent, which is good. I know he wants to be fair and all that, but if you let the talent have too much power, obviously the inmates can end up taking over the asylum. And obviously the main thing is what I've expected all along is he's dealing with writers that have got so many ideas. And yeah, he says that he listens to these writers and he takes his time to listen and be humble himself to listen. But if these writers are coming with 10 different fucking ideas, it's confusing. That's the thing. And that's why you're having Raws and SmackDowns that are, really just, most of it is garbage, to be honest. Just, I wouldn't say Triple H is a bad booker. I just say that, there's certain things. Like, I get the fucking TV shit and dealing with the sponsors and, dealing with all these corporate fucking cocksucking cunts and all that. But I just think with the talent, I don't know because I'm not behind the scenes, but maybe he's going a bit more towards the Tony Khan spectrum is all I've got to say about that. Because it seems in the interview, he's not saying it directly, but he's basically saying, without seeing directly, that this is how I perceive it, that there's too many writers and there's too many ideas being thrown about at once. He's kind of saying that, which I think is what's happening. That's why the show isn't as good as it should be at times. Then he goes on to CM Punk, saying that CM Punk did not trust him in the past. Mainly because Punk really had an issue with Vince, and Triple H said he was basically in the middle of it. And Punk basically, because Triple H was more accessible than Vince, that Triple H would get into arguments with Punk, because Punk was mad at Vince, but would blame Triple H for it as well, because he thought Triple H was Vince's right-hand man. But Triple H says he was in the middle, so there you go. But they say that they made up, and they're both very different people today. Actually, a good quote, he said, Triple H, which is a very good quote, saying, if you're the same guy you was 10 years ago, then you got a serious fucking problem. It's a fucking that. You nailed that right on the fucking coffin right there. Yeah, man, if I was the same person 10 years ago, I wouldn't be here today. That's all I can fucking say. Anyway, CM Punk, at the time, this is when he was in the WWE the first time, didn't like creative. And, when he came back, Triple H says, which I didn't know. When he first came back, he didn't like creative. And they actually had an argument. And CM Punk walked away, but then he came back a couple of minutes later and they communicated with each other. And according to Triple H, he says that it's very fun now. And one of his favourite parts of the job is going through ideas and creative plans and talking about wrestling in general with CM Punk. Like he says that they've got the same philosophy when it comes to wrestling. That I don't know what philosophy Triple H has always come across to me as big, like a wrestler's wrestler, Ric Flair kind of psychology to him. I think a lot of things Triple H did was very similar to like a Ric Flair. But Triple H was the best fucking heel wrestler. Not the best heel. Vince was the best heel in the Attitude Era, but the best heel wrestler in the Attitude Era. Now, Triple H goes into what I've been saying this whole fucking time, which I know, I'm not trying to be a smart ass here, but I know that I'm fucking right on this, and no one can argue about this shit. Like saying that Triple H got his break because of Stephanie. And like, do your fucking research with your timetable. Right? But Triple H says here that he did have a hand in creative during the summer of 99. And that was when he won the title. But that was months before the Stephanie storyline. Because that didn't happen till December. We're talking July, August 99. Because, like I fucking said, ad nauseum, Triple H was a top guy months before he got into any storyline with Stephanie. And Triple H, according to Triple H, he said he didn't even pay attention to the storyline Stephanie was in because if you've watched back, Stephanie was going to marry Tess. And there was a whole story with Shane McMahon and Tess marrying Stephanie and Shane McMahon not wanting to, and Shane and the meanest motherfuckers on the meanest motherfucking streets of America, the Mean Street Posse, Shane and the Mean Street Posse were doing everything they could to stop Tess from marrying Stephanie. So basically, Triple H says that basically he was in a program with Austin, and but Austin got injured. Oh yeah, it was a fucking run over angle, wasn't it? Because Austin got run over, I think, at Survivor Series later on that year. He was in a program with Austin, for the title. Basically, they were having back and forth matches for the title and shit. And basically, yeah, Austin got run over, so Triple H's storylines got a bit stale. So he had to go into a storyline with Vince, which was brewing for months, I think. Because if you watch, yeah, that storyline was brewing for quite a while between Vince and Triple H. And Vince was like a good guy at the time, I remember. Fucking weird, that shit. Like, Vince was a fucking good guy at the time. And, yeah, basically, because Vince left. Because Austin fucking, with that first blood match. But Austin basically brought Vince back. This is how I remember it. And then he started, Triple H was like the main bad guy then. Like I said, Austin's new fucking arch rival and The Rock's new arch rival and Foley's new arch rival was Triple H. So Triple H then went full on with the story with Vince, and that's when Triple H mentioned, oh, maybe we should do this with Stephanie, this drive-through wedding. I drug her. And fucking, she marries me at a fucking drive-thru and it's official. And not that, Vince, is how many times did we do the thing? Proper DX fucking shit right there. But yeah, I mean, that storyline with him and Vince, basically. And Triple H says that one of the SmackDowns, before Stephanie became the fucking the billionaire's daughter, who everyone fucking hated and called a slut. Actually, the crowd were chanting, slut, 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 according to Triple H, before she turned and actually went to Triple H and they took over the World Wrestling Federation with the McMahon Helmsley era. So that's when Triple H came up with the idea, maybe we should do a fucking turn, and the fans will not see it coming. Because the fans, this was the Attitude Era, I believe at the time Kurt Angle just came in, the All-American Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and the crowd were booing the shit out of him, and he just did. And Stephanie was like this all-rich American girl before she became, the billion-dollar princess who the whole fucking world hated. I mean, yeah, she was like too innocent, so the crowd saw through it and started chanting slut, slut. So with them chants, it gave Triple H the idea, maybe we should put you off TV for a while, have Stephanie turn and come with me, and we run the World Wrestling Federation while you're out, which worked. It was a great storyline. But as time went on, I think it was during WrestleMania 2000 time, just after that, I've heard this. I'm not sure. I'm just saying what I've heard is during that time, that's when they started getting serious. And then after Triple H hurt his quad, I think Vince told him to back off a bit. But then when Triple H came back after the injury, they then went full on. Then they ended up getting married. Happily ever after. There you go. Yeah. Triple H admits in the interview that Vince McMahon ran things totally different than he does, which is true. I mean, I don't know which Vince you're going on about. The Vince over the past few years, or the Vince McMahon who was successful in the Attitude Era and in the 80s. And he says, which is, this is very informative to me, which I always suspected this. Watching wrestling, Triple H says Vince became is the word, a lot more controlling as time went on, which I totally agree with. Because you just look at the shows where Vince's final days, the shows were fucking terrible, even worse than they are now. They really were terrible. They were fucking so horrible, I just heard about it, but sometimes I'd say, okay, what's so bad about this show? I'd watch about fucking 10 to 20 minutes of it and like, yeah, what the fuck? Because I'd be like, haven't I just seen this match? This shit just made no fucking sense. So Vince just like, towards the end of his reign as being, owning the WWE, Vince, he said over, since going into the Ruthless Aggression era and, after the Ruthless Aggression era, Vince began to micromanage talent a lot. And yeah, I can believe that because all the matches you see from, like, say, the Ruthless Aggression era, probably into now, are totally fucking micromanaged. And he says, back in the day, like during the Attitude Era, he was still controlling, but he was more open because he had to be, because he would have got out of business. So he had to be more open. But yeah, Vince, back in the day, he was great. Back in the day, he was a genius back in the day. Can't say not, because he was. The past, his last years in power, no, he was fucking demented. I think he probably got dementia. I've seen some of his interviews. I've seen how frail he looks. I mean, I think he's lost it a bit. He's either a bit demented or whatever. How old is Vince? Isn't he fucking 79? My grandma died at 78, so, shit happens in them years, man, Yeah, I think Vince is, with old age, your brain rots. It just fucking happens. Till someone comes up with a fucking miracle medicine, it happens to everyone. It don't matter how rich you are, how much money you got. That's why I say when you get an old man, that's when you need to start you doing the DMT and the fucking, that's when I'll be like, fuck this shit, I'm on DMT. Fucking, and I'm fucking off. I ain't suffering through all these fucking illnesses and shit. Fuck that. Triple H, then, another thing he says during the interview is Patterson was the best finishing booker of all time, meaning he would book the best finishes. Yeah, Pat Patterson was like Vince's main guy. He was like his best friend, I think. Very close to Vince was Patterson. Very New Yorker. Yeah, very New York was Patterson. And then Triple H says the difference between him and Vince is very harsh with the talent. Always kind of has been. And is quite cold with the talent, meaning he'll fucking fire you and fuck up your life kind of thing. Or not give a fuck if you fucking pill yourself to death. Has that ever been said? I've pilled myself to death. Fucking fucking like drank yourself to death, taking so many drugs that you fucking die. So it's the way I am sometimes. Anyway, Triple H obviously is a lot more compassionate, and Triple H says that he communicates more with the wrestlers and is more and more open to ideas from other people than Vince ever was. That is a blessing, but can be a curse, like I said. It depends. You don't want to be too open, especially in the wrestling business, in my opinion, to ideas. Because then you're going along with every idea and you try not to piss people off or try not to let people down. You can't be like that in wrestling. You gotta know what the fucking idea is, and then that's why they need one or two writers. Because if they don't have that, it's just the show's just going to be all over the place, which it is. It's a fact for me, anyway. I mean, some people enjoy the show. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy the show. If you like the show, if you like jerking off to fucking Teletubbies on a Saturday morning, that's on you. Well, the jerking off bit's a bit fucked up, but you know what I mean. But yeah, Triple H is more open to ideas. Yes, it's like I said, it's a much more harmonious place backstage, and it is for the wrestlers. But the point is with Vince is when Vince wanted to succeed, if Vince put his mind to something and wanted to succeed and wanted the company to succeed, he would do so by any means necessary. That's the difference. Because Vince was a fucking killer when it came to business, when it came to taking over the whole fucking wrestling organization. And sometimes in life, unfortunately, I wish life wasn't like this. I'm not saying it's the right way to go, because it isn't. But Vince, if you want to be very, very successful, especially in the doggy-dog world of fucking professional wrestling business, then you have to be a fucking kind of a obsessive fucking sociopath kind of thing. Kind of like Michael Jordan was. You know, he was fucking obsessed. He's relentless. You know, that's why, you know, you can't compare LeBron to Jordan, because LeBron is not ruthless like what Michael Jordan is. He's just not. Michael Jordan was fucking ruthless. That's why he's the greatest fucking basketball player of all time. You know? Same with Vince. He was fucking ruthless. And when he had to be ruthless, especially in the Attitude Era, when he's fucking, you know, he's very close to going out of business, kind of. I'm not true, but his business was at an all-time low, is what I'm saying. So, he had to be ruthless then. So, it works both ways. Unfortunately, that's the case. I wish it weren't in life, but unfortunately it is. Now Triple H talks about a lot of things I agree with. I mean, his outlook on life is very grounded. You know, yeah, you know, Triple H is a decent guy. Well, he comes across as that. Maybe behind the scenes, maybe he turns back into a cerebral assassin in the game and does some deranged sexual stuff with Stephanie, like feces and necrophilia, and you know, I don't know. Stopping myself there. Triple H says that he doesn't sweat the small stuff and is a lot more humble and open in life generally. Yeah, that's how I want to be. Well, I'm trying to be like that. I do. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But that's a great way of looking at life in general. Yes, I agree totally. That's got nothing to do with wrestling. That is to do with life. And yes, I agree. And Triple H, this is what makes me like Triple H as a person, because he actually admits, and that's what I like. You can tell a lot about a person if they say they're sorry or if they admit they're wrong. If people don't admit they're wrong or ever say they're sorry, you just know what type of person they are. They're just too caught up the fucking own ass and too fucking caught up in their ego. And you know, you can't have a person like that run a country or run a business where people depend on you. Because if you're just a fucking narcissistic fucking cunt who thinks they're right all the time and never admits you're sorry or wrong, then, you know, you can't serve others. You know, you can't. You know. So that's a good, you know, thing that he's admitted that. I like that he's done that he admits. Because Vince never admitted that he was wrong. Like, I remember him being on a show with Austin, and Austin was saying, "Come on, man, this show fucking sucks." Didn't say it directly like that, but he was saying things like that to Vince. And Vince was like, "Oh no, I thought the show was good." And clearly it fucking wasn't, but, you know, Vince, obviously, is Vince McMahon. He's stuck in his own megalomaniac fucking world as I'm fucking God and I'm fucking this be all end all and I own fucking everything and blah blah blah. And one day you'll find out the hard way, Vince McMahon, which you have. So yeah, he says a lot of ideas he gets wrong, and I'll admit to it, and I'll admit when I've fucked up, and I'll say I'm sorry to people. Yeah, that shows you what type of person he is, which is a decent person. So yeah, I would like to work for Triple H because, you know, I could trust him to a degree. Austin trusted him. Where did he get him? I mean, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, Triple H then says that he doesn't dwell on a bad show. He just moves the fuck on. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you have to. What can the fuck can you do? You know, it's like You know, a lot of fucking bullshit. Bullshit happened to me the other day. I lost something and I went a bit crazy and smashed the wall. But what can I do, man? I can't take that back. I mean, my dog got a bit scared. I didn't mean for her to get scared because she's getting older now. So I really need to watch my temper. It's like losing stuff, man. It's fuck. So frustrating. Anyway, yeah, you can't dwell on anything. It's like when you break something or you lose money. Like, you can't dwell on it or you're gonna go fucking mad. You're going to go mental, you know? You just are. You go, you know, you move the fuck on. And he says like, don't procrastinate or overthink. And I couldn't agree more. That is the biggest human disease in the world. And I suffer from it from time to time. And it's not good. That, getting angry and, fucking failing or fucking up, that's not the problem. What the problem is when you procrastinate over it, overthink. Just the same as you've got something planned for the future. Like, you plan it and then you fucking forget about it. Trust me, it works itself out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you overthinking it or procrastinating about it or rushing your way through your day to trying to get to that fucking moment is not going to make one fucking difference. And I've lived for 30 years and that's long enough to know that shit. If there's something else I don't know, no. But you know what I mean? It's just trying to control everything all the time. You can't. You can't control your thoughts. You can't control the way the fucking universe is, like the weather. It just can't be done. It's sometimes, that's the way that it's a blessing though, really, when you really, really understand it. Like, I haven't really, really understood it. But the people that have, I mean, yeah, I can understand why they're happy, the most happiest people in the world. But it's not about what you have, it's about, what's on the inside and how you react. It really is. How your spiritual health is, your mental health is, and your physical health is. That is the most important thing. Serious. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, you might have bad shows, the fans might be pissed off, but at the end of the day, what the fuck do you want me to do? I'm gonna waste my time because the more you overthink and procrastinate, you're actually creating fucking illness, and you start seeing grey hairs when you get to 40. So that's why I've got to watch myself. So yeah, I agree with what Triple H's philosophy there. Yeah, and then Triple H said another kind of disease, because I think Vince really did have a disease, to be honest. And coming from me, that's a bit hypocritical because I've got a disease kind of thing. So, but we're all hypocrites as well. Can't say you're not a hypocrite or you're not biased because that's bullshit. Don't think you're above just because you've had an enlightening experience on psychedelics and all that shit. Don't think you're above. Oh, I'm above arguing. Oh, I'm above being biased. I'm above getting angry. No, because believe me, this is why people go fucking mad when they do psychedelics and think that they've got enlightened. Because then they just think that that's it. It's over. And then next day, oh, real life hits you. Yeah, you know how it goes. You know. Anyway, Triple H said, yeah, another disease that Vince had was he never stopped to smell the roses. He always wanted to go, go, go. Yeah, so really, man, Vince, all this money that he's made, all this hard work, what the fuck for? I mean, I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, I've heard this so many times. Vince never stopped. He was wrestling 24/7 WWE. That was all Vince fucking did. I'm surprised he had the time to do what he's allocated to do. But, yeah, Vince was a workaholic, but he overworked, and that's not good. No wonder he's become deranged in old age, you know. You know, he's not Superman. No one's fucking Superman. And obviously Vince probably believed he was Superman. You know, no one is. But Triple H says that he's a bit different, especially after his illness. Now he stops and smells the roses when he's done a good show. Like last year's WrestleMania was a great show, and you could tell that he stopped and smelled the roses. With the press conference, he got all emotional, and because he did a great job. He did a fucking tremendous job last year, and he should stop smell the roses. Triple H kind of hints that I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong on this, so do not take what I'm saying seriously. The health scare that he had in 2021 might have been caused from feeling overworked from all the work he was doing at NXT at the time. Or this is probably the most likely case, is he had a secondary pathway internally. I don't know what that means because I'm not a fucking physician or a doctor. But I think a secondary pathway where the blood flows or something. And you get that from being an athlete. Athletes get it a lot. So I don't know. But Triple H says that his heart was beating at 33 beats per minute when he got admitted to the hospital. Fucking hell, that's low. Then it dropped to 17 beats per minute. Fucking hell. Wouldn't you be dead after that? That is fucking low. That is low. And then he says something that, I did not know nothing about this shit. It's quite interesting, this, I really didn't know nothing about it. He says that Bray Wyatt, who tragically died young, he was the best thing, to be honest, in wrestling. He had the best character, I'll talk about Bray Wyatt at a different time because there's a lot of things I would like to say about Bray Wyatt. But Bray Wyatt had the same condition, but Triple H wore a V-fib. It was like he had a defibrillator. I always say defibrillator. It's defibrillator. Oh, yeah. Them things that, fucking yellow things you see on the fucking street outside phone boxes. See them on the street these days. Yeah, he had one of them put in his chest. It's called a V-fib. And that's what saved his life. And Bray Wyatt had like the same condition. But basically had the same condition, Bray Wyatt, but didn't put the defib in, And according to that, Triple H, well, he didn't say directly, but he kind of said, well, he did. He said like Bray Wyatt died because he didn't do what Triple H did. So, because he had the same condition. I thought Bray Wyatt died from COVID, didn't he? That's what I heard, but I don't know. Maybe that. I didn't really look into it, so I'm not sure, And the last, for now, is Triple H said that the Shawn Michaels back in the day, which I ain't the bad motherfucker, used to tear up the script and throw it in Vince McMahon's fucking face. I mean, that's something Austin would do. I mean, the character. But yeah, Shawn Michaels, when he was Shawn Michaels, and, from what I heard, he was a bit of a menace backstage. A bit full of himself backstage. That's what I've heard. So it's not from me. Shawn Michaels, definitely. I definitely could picture that. Shawn Michaels used, to what I said, was a dick to a lot of people backstage. But he got away. Triple H was amazed that he got away with it because most people won't get away with it. So I think he's saying Vince was always very high on Shawn Michaels because anything that Shawn Michaels didn't like in the period of like 96, 97, he would just rip up the fucking creative and throw it at Vince McMahon. So that's it for now from with the Triple H interview. I might come back with more, but this really is the end of the part of the wrestling news and the Raw review. So I'll be back, hopefully, with the SFS part of the podcast. It's got fuck all to do with wrestling and just me talking shit. But I didn't release last week's one because I was very angry and I said some things that were very fucked up. And I'm glad that I didn't release it because I'll probably get locked up for it because you do in this country these days. I mean, I'm never a person to say things online. I used to, I'll admit, like fucking nearly, 7 to 10 years ago when I was young, but nah, man, fucking toxic, man. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have an X account. And I only go onto Instagram to look at Venezuelan women. Or to look at Austin's Instagram with a Macho and Pancho. Them two motherfuckers. I'd like Hershey to get around one of them. I think Hershey would make good friends with them. Because my dog Hershey, gets along with 8 of my mum's cats at home. But there's this one fucking cat. I'll put a name out there. It's called fucking Lucy. And she knows that Hershey is a big fucking softie. But she don't give a fuck. She just attacks her all the fucking time. Now, obviously, because she's getting older, I can't fucking stand for it anymore. So I have to, physically grab the cat and, not fucking hit it or anything, just push it away. But it does make me angry when that shit happens because, it's like attacking an old woman, Even though my dog fucking acts like a puppy still, chases after other dogs still, has got an appetite for fucking days. 13 for a dog is, what is that? I've had her 13 years, so that's like 90. It's 7 years, so it's 91. Yeah. Bloody hell. Anyway, I'll be back, hopefully, with the SFS portion, and hopefully I'll be doing something with the boy, finally, this weekend. And I'll start having guests on this, the worst ever podcast of all time. So I'll catch you on the next part.